of the timeline that it took for Derek Dixon to come forward with these allegations if they're true.
Well, that's one of the arguments the defense always makes, right? Is, well, if you were assaulted or harassed, why did you stay? Why didn't you report it right away? What I love as the plaintiff's lawyer is a contemporaneous report. So hopefully they have that. And I understand he's been getting therapy since 20.
We didn't see it coming. One moment, we were celebrating Tiffany Haddish's meteoric rise, unstoppable, electric. The next, we were hearing her voice tremble in front of a late-night crowd, revealing that the man she once called Big Bro, the kingmaker of the culture, had gone silent, ghosted her. Right when she needed him most, we leaned in, because nothing grips harder than betrayal wrapped in glitz. And this one had all the makings. A headline-making friendship, a lawsuit that nearly torched her career, and a Hollywood mogul with a billion-dollar grin who's built his brand as the ultimate uncle to black talent. We kept watching as Tiffany, eyes glazed but still standing, recounted it all while the internet dragged her through the fire over that disturbing old sketch. Tyler Perry, usually first to post prayers and platitudes, hit mute. No texts, no calls. Not even a stay strong. Sis tweet.you could almost feel the weight of that buzzing phone in her palm, every unanswered vibration like a fresh paper.
Certainly be helpful, in addition to the text message evidence that we had. Sometimes victims don't want to come forward, right? You're talking about a rich and famous individual, and look at what's happened. Perry's lawyer came out and said, this guy's lying. This is a shakedown. This is extortion, right? They always go after the victim. And we don't know if the allegations are true in this case or not, but very few harassment cases are reported or litigated.
And just like that, the subtle hints became sharp jabs. She wasn't just mourning missed messages, she was exposing a pattern. We sat in that silence, feeling the weight of it, because anyone who knows this industry knows exactly how the machine moves. The second Tiffany's legal drama hit the headlines, talent agents started treating her like radioactive glitter catching. Sure, but too risky to touch. Studio execs whispered behind closed doors, let's circle back next quarter. And according to her, that's when Tyler Perry, the same man who once pitched her feel-good scripts over vegan brunch, suddenly acted like he'd forgotten her name. She says she watched the offers vanish, her phone blow up with bad news notifications, and still, nothing. No support, no cameo offer. Not even a half-hearted mention on one of those megachurch live streams he loves to headline. Betrayal hurts. But abandonment when you're in a PR freefall, that's pouring salt into an already shredded sense of self. As Tiffany told her story, a chill of recognition crept in. We'd heard this song before, success, ... then silence. Oh, right, Monique sang that tune first, years ago. She told us how Perry had courted her with promises, rode the wave of her Oscar shine. Then, when she pushed back on unpaid promo work,
all lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it.
Allegedly helped push her off the big studio party list. We remember Monique pacing a Harlem stage, voice booming, calling out black power brokers with soft spines and selective loyalty. At the time, it sounded extreme-y, even theatrical. But now, hearing Tiffany's version, it hits like the remix to a track we didn't even know was on repeat. He paused because suddenly, the equation started solving itself. Two bold women, two eerily similar stories of you got this, I'm out, and $1 billion empire sprawled across 300-plus acres of carefully curated power in Atlanta. If both Haddish and Monique are raising their voices to say that Perry welcome Mac gets yanked the moment controversy knocks, then maybe these aren't isolated incidents. Maybe we're not looking at bad timing. Maybe we're staring straight into a crack in the foundation of what's supposed to be Black Hollywood's safest sanctuary. So we started digging, and the deeper we went, the more breadcrumbs we found, like Hansel and Gretel with a burner phone and an Instagram trail.
There's a short life in
why do you think that is with the creative side?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take you're going through so much to try and deal with life.
For years, insiders have whispered the same pattern. Perry scouts rising black talent, brings them in faster than any traditional studio ever would, and then quietly drops them when their star burns a little too bright, or when they dare to question the fine print. Writers say they were iced out the second they asked for WGA contracts. Veteran actors recall being bumped to series regulars only to vanish without warning the minute they landed gigs outside the Perry bubble. And that heroic legend we all repeat about how he's created more black millionaires than any other Hollywood player. Sure, that part's true, but money doesn't always come with protection, or loyalty, or truth. You can almost hear Monique's grainy recording, the one she says SHE holds, where Tyler allegedly apologizes in private, only to backtrack the moment she tried to share it. That tape, The kind of stuff conspiracy blogs dream of. Monique told T.S. Madison he admitted fault, then suddenly demanded a private meeting, no husband allowed. It sounded less like a peace talk and more like a heavyweight bout with quick exits. We remember the quote from Perry's attorney. Brushing off Derek Dixon's lawsuit with Tyler will not be shaken down. That line bounced across social feeds like a steel marble offering, a rare glimpse at how ferociously he guards his brand. Come forward, they say. If you're a victim, you have to tell your story in a very, very public way. But here's the twist. Under California law, you could file as a John Doe or Jane Doe to stay anonymous. Yet Dixon chose not to. That's a move worth noting. And now the air thickens. Fresh court filings unsealed. Actor Derek Dixon dusting off every skeleton in the studio's closet. He's after $260 million. Yes, but more searing than the cash. His portrait of a workplace turned psychological quicksand. He says the boss showered him with audition invites, then piled on intense, intimate pressure once Dixon was inside the Oval Office set, refusing those advances. Career suicide. Threats showed just that infamous showrunner smile paired with a casual, character arcs change all the time. Translation: sign this hush clause, or your role gets cut faster than they can repaint the Oval Office set. The defense points at Dixon's choice not to file anonymously, claiming it proves the whole thing's a shakedown. But experts say that's a weak argument. Many victims hesitate to sue because lawsuits mean reliving trauma publicly. We cringe picturing Dixon's dawns spent wondering if today's the last audition, memorizing lines, measuring every glance, calculating every handshake knot to invite trouble, alone in a trailer, phone in hand, debating, documenting the next unwelcome move while reminding himself, rent's due. The pressure cooker blew. He walked away, filed with the EEOC. Now depositions spill out. Thicker than a J.K. Rowling novel. Packed with screenshots of texts like what's it going to take for you to have guiltless intimacy. Word for word. Reading that. Our jaws drop. If even half this lands with a jury, we might be staring down the biggest reckoning Black Hollywood studios have seen since the Diddy fallout. Are you shocked by the evidence already leaking into the trial? No, says one insider. I've seen this kind of violence before. We shrug and say, he said, the mogul said, but the timing. Cosmic, just as Dixon's suit heats the algorithm. Rumor mills churn about a 3-part docuseries, Surviving Tyler Perry. Picture it, ominous strings, archival confetti shots from his studio's grand opening, voices trembling, sharing stories of manipulation. Perry's lawyers already firing cease and desist, letters like graduation confetti cannons. But remember, Harvey Weinstein's downfall started with whispers too. Once one victim steps forward, the floodgates break open. Dixon unofficially became that first brick. Who comes next might decide if this empire keeps shining or collapses like a flimsy set wall in a thunderstorm. We sift through the evidence and realize Perry's polished facade has cracked before. Union battles over writer rooms, cringeworthy social media blunders with plot holes wide enough to drive the family van through, and that AI rant earlier this year. Remember, he paused an $800 million studio expansion because synthetic footage might save money on snow scenes. Some called it visionary. Others called it a convenient excuse to outsource jobs belonging to the black crew members he once championed. A rising chorus is growing louder. The Tyler Perry model one-man, writing, directing, showrunning, everything is a top-heavy tower wobbling under its own weight. And if that tower hides secret rooms filled with exploitation, Hollywood's beloved rags to riches folk hero could become a cautionary tale overnight. Tiffany spills more. He called me Wild King Nights. What that meant when he and a guest or guests would meet in his bedroom or a hotel room. For intimate gatherings, I'd have to prep the room. Baby oil, Astroglide, all ready. Let's pull the spotlight back to Tiffany. She insists Perry's ghosting wasn't just self-preservation, it was calculated brand distancing. Executives whispered warnings in his ear. Risk is high. You're negotiating a streaming mega deal. Let this one burn out. So he allegedly stepped back, thinking silence looked more like neutrality than betrayal. Tiffany calls it abandonment at her most vulnerable hour. We call it history repeating itself. Remember Monique? She said she wouldn't fly economy across the Atlantic for free press events and, within a year, couldn't even land a studio pitch meeting. She screamed for pay equity. They labeled her difficult. And then, radio silence. Different accusations, same hush. I thought he was this clean businessman, a powerful, smart, educated man, rising on his own merits. I had no idea about the other side, the addiction. It's not every week, it's every day, every hour, Tiffany confesses. So why does Tiffany's story hit so hard now? Maybe because she's the new generation, Perry-embraced, edgy comedic voice. Survivor narrative, mass appeal across demographics. If Tiffany says the emperor's robe is fraying, maybe younger artists will finally speak out. We're already seeing subtle jabs on social media background actors hinting at creepy power dynamics. Crew members recalling double shifts with no overtime, just a bless you from a producer and an invite to the next prayer circle. It all smells like brand polish on the surface. But a barnfire underneath. The deeper we dig, the more one show sounds less like creative genius and more like a velvet glove stranglehold on artistic oxygen. Industry insiders whisper that Perry's refusal to hire union writers isn't thrift or ego. It's a firewall blocking fresh ideas that might challenge his formula.ex-staff. Talk of marathon script sessions where editor notes vanish overnight, replaced by original drafts because any change is a trespass on the royal parchment. That rigidity shows up on screen as recycled plot twists, but behind the scenes, bruised morale, a talent pipeline quietly tiptoeing elsewhere. Many are scared to come forward, fearful of what Perry could do professionally. Personally, for years, it's been a dark secret held tight. We hear about NDAs thicker than Georgia humidity, clauses banning crew from even mentioning hours worked or room to improvise. Union advocates say writers pushing for minimum WGA scale found themselves uninvited. From the next production, a soft exile spreading through casting directors faster than fans. Binge sitcoms. Bright talents, once desperate to work inside those Atlanta gates, now weigh the risk, exposure, or career death. When creative freedom feels like liability, the promise of a black-owned studio nurturing voices turns bittersweet. Tiffany recalls, he cornered me, arm up, asking, "How you doing?" I was stunned, uncomfortable. Then he rubbed my breast and said, "If you need anything and anything at all, you let me know." Acting pool ripples too. Scripts locked last minute, often camera-ready after one top-down polish. Performers swallow dialogue they know could shine with just a hint of collaboration. Object: rumor says your storyline shrinks by next read. That power imbalance fuels a hush-hush hierarchy. Smiles for the gram. But private contingency plans abound. Irony: a studio preaching empowerment may be gatekeeping with a new face. This all feeds a bigger psychological twist. Perry's empire isn't just a content factory, it's a micromanaged kingdom where narrative, labor, and loyalty orbit one decision-maker. One ruler writes every episode, directs every scene, delivers every pep talk. No courtroom of ideas, just a throne room. In that kingdom, challenging a creative choice, like challenging the monarch. We're left wondering, is the real cost of Perry's meteoric independence an artistic monoculture, draining color from a space that once promised endless opportunity? I can't win over there, Tiffany says. I don't play the game. I'm not for sale. You can't buy me because I'm not in the store. It's different. Sure, some swear those paychecks changed their families' lives. Many will say Tyler shook every hand on set, fed crews before other studios even printed guidelines. Nuance exists. Villains can be charitable, saviors can have shadows. But tonight, we're not here for nuance. We're chasing the thunderstorm of gossip, rumbling across Atlanta's south side. In that thunder, it's only getting louder. But let's not forget the $260 million figure, not some random numbering of to chip away at Perry's rumored $1.4 billion fortune. If Dixon settles for even a slice, every extra speaking role across Sistas, Ruthless, Zatima, and those dozen Amazon flicks turns into potential plaintiff fodder. Plaintiffs love precedent the way paparazzi crave ex-couples, holding lattes, and that documentary crew sniffing around. They've already slapped Monster as the working titles, narky, messy, poetic. Blood in the Water Marketing 101. We circled back to Perry's latest podium moment, the BET Awards Beach Footprints monologue, stirring words warning about the erasure of black stories, about footprints on water that can't be wiped away. Then moments later, he brags he's made more black millionaires than any studio in the city combined. The crowd roared. But here's the question: how many of those millionaires are ready to risk their new tax bracket by echoing Tiffany or Dixon? Will they publicly clap back at the allegations, or keep quiet to protect their residual checks? Hollywood solidarity cuts two ways. It shields, and it silences. Everyone cares about reputation in Hollywood, a legal expert says. Whether it's cancel culture or bad press, it can force a defendant to settle. That's a tool plaintiffs, attorneys use representing victims like this. Already, defenders argue Dixon's lawsuit smells like a cash grab. Perry's counsel claims Dixon set up a scam, highlighting timeline inconsistencies and pointing to the raise Dixon accepted the classic "you took the money" defense. But public opinion rarely waits for trials. The mere suggestion of a real-life casting couch behind those 12 glossy soundstages stirs decades of suppressed suspicion. If there's one lesson from #MeToo, it's that reputations rise and fall at algorithm speed. One push notification reading, studio hit with additional complaint, could tank sponsorship deals, trigger insurance hikes, and start whispered boardroom talks about succession plans. We wouldn't be shocked if PR teams have already booked extra crisis sessions post-lunch. Meanwhile, Monique tours arenas with Dave Chappelle, peppering punchlines about licking the nuts that came with the apology. Brutal, hilarious, defiant, she turns survival into stand-up, and crowds lap it up because outrage hits different when aimed at Goliath. Tiffany. She's channeling pain into new indie projects, casually dropping that she rewrote scripts Perry once promised to Shepard. She jokes about it on podcasts, but if you listen close, there's a flicker of scar tissue in her laugh. Watching these women transform betrayal into fuel is inspiring and a public indictment. Their creativity soared the moment they stopped waiting for Perry's blessing. And let's be real, the filed lawsuit accuses Tyler Perry of assaulting an actor on one of his shows. Derek Dixon is suing for $260 million. So, where does this leave us on the edge of total narrative collapse, or just a messy, temporary brand bruise? We've seen titans, whether worse, bank on short memories, drop charitable grants, repackage films with wholesome marketing, but mix a comedian's scathing TikTok, an explosive lawsuit, a possible docuseries, union rumblings, and text receipts worthy of a J&J trial. And suddenly, we sense a perfect storm. Hollywood's fickle. Advertisers hate uncertainty. Streaming giants dread negative hashtags attached to exclusive deals. We suspect Perry knows the playground is shifting. Maybe that explains the hush-hush meetings with crisis consultants. Maybe that's why there are no new photos inside his beloved replica White House lately. Maybe he's waiting out the fog. Maybe he's drafting heartfelt letters to release when the documentary teaser drops. Or maybe he still believes silence keeps the aura intact. Either way, we're watching. If Tiffany's claims stick, if Dixon's lawsuit gains steam, if Monique drops that recording, and if surviving Tyler Perry hits a streamer hungry for viral controversy, we'll witness one of the wildest reputation implosions since Weinstein. And this time, the community reckons with its own self-made tycoon. That means every black creative who ever smiled beside Tyler's custom-branded soundstage. Gates must ask, were you a collaborator, a beneficiary, an unwilling accessory? They pay you not to talk about what they don't want talked about, Tiffany warns. They tell you that themselves. We can't predict a verdict. We can't swear the allegations are gospel. But we feel the tremor in the phantom, the hush in studio corridors, the fear on executive calls. We the gossip hounds. The rubberneckers at the celebrity collision sense, a legacy hanging by If those lines snap, the crash won't just echo through Atlanta. It will shake every corner of an industry that crowned Tyler Perry, proof you can own the system without answering to it. So we end here. Pulse racing, captivated by a scandal, forcing us to question loyalty, power, and who gets left behind when brands turn bulletproof. Could this be the dawn of Tyler Perry's reckoning? The moment the empire's bright lights flicker under the weight of too many hushed grievances? Or will he stage the ultimate redemption arc and rewrite the narrative yet again? Drop your hottest theories in the comments. Keep that popcorn handy. And until our next late night tea spill, stay curious, stay daring, and good night, beautiful.